Now that you've seen how the built-in reports work, let's try creating a simple report from scratch. We'll start off in our search tab, and first we'll filter to just the secure log. So we'll say source type equals Linux secure, and click search. Let's look at just the failed login attempts to the SSHD service. So we can start by limiting this to process equals SSHD, and we'll search again. And let's use the same pattern we used before, where we're just looking for invalid user messages. And let's use the whole string, connection closed by invalid user. That way we won't have duplicate entries. We'll just have one for each failed login attempt. And we need to put the whole string in quotes. Otherwise, Splunk will treat these as separate search terms. It'll imply an and in between each one. So let's search for this. And this gives us pretty much just what we want. So we're ready to make our report. So we'll go up to Save As, Report. We'll call this Failed Login Attempts. And click Save. Then let's click View. And this is our report. It's pretty much just the same as our search results. And it's kept the timescale the same as last 24 hours. Of course, we can choose a different timescale here within the report now. So next, let's add a schedule. We'll go up to Edit and say Edit Schedule. And make note of this, that we need to set our time within the report. Let's click Schedule Report. And let's say run every day for the last 24 hours. And it defaults to midnight, which seems okay for this. We can also set our schedule priority if we want to make sure this always runs. There's a note here about that. And we can also set a little bit of wiggle room for a window of time when it can run. So if you were on an especially busy system, you might need to do this. This innocent looking option at the end is actually one of the most powerful features of Splunk. We can add arbitrary actions that run when this report runs. So we can do things like log an event. We can also run a script, but this feature is actually deprecated and not recommended. There are custom actions you can add through add-ons, but one of the most powerful here is just using a webhook. Splunk can trigger an arbitrary webhook, so it will send a JSON payload to the URL you specify here. So this could do just about anything as long as you have your server on the other end set up correctly. For example, you could take this list of IP addresses and send it to a security system that would add them to a ban list. Or if you were tracking a different kind of log, you might use it to trigger a certain action on your CI system. Maybe if there were a high level of errors showing up in your automated tests, you might take a certain action in response to that. Let's remove these for now, since we're not setting this up. We'll look at that a little bit later in the course and actually go through setting up a custom action. And let's save our report here. That's really it for a basic report. You'll notice there are no results because the first scheduled run of this report hasn't completed yet. So we'll see this tomorrow if we run this again. Reports also don't need to be scheduled. You can leave them unscheduled and they will run anytime you open the report, just in real time.